Deputy Leader of the Opposition United Workers Party, or UWP, Joshua Francis, is calling for more public sensitization on bills and acts being enacted in Parliament. Francis expressed concern over the extent of public participation during these types of proceedings.
My concern, though, is like several other pieces of legislation, the public participation is way too limited. Because we are servants of the people and we are responsible to inform people exactly what we are doing in the House of Parliament. And every piece of legislation should be made available to the public so that they can ventilate, they can share their views. And that piece of legislation was not exposed to the public, hence the public has not had a say. Unfortunately, we are going to go into Parliament, pass a bill without public participation, and I think that is not a good practice.
The act in question is to allow for the establishment of the Eastern Caribbean Asset Management Corporation following approval of a bill for an act to provide for the regulation of the banking business, establish a single banking space and for incidental and related matters, and the repeal of the Banking Act No. 16 of 2005.
As parliamentarians, we are responsible to discuss bills with our constituents so that they will get an opportunity to share their views, whether it is positive or negative. But overall, as I said, the objective of that piece of legislation today is to improve the banking sector, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Moving on, Minister for Trade, Energy and Employment Ian Douglas spoke in full support of a legislation that would regulate and stabilize the financial space within OECS countries. Earlier this week, a bill to allow for the establishment of the Eastern Caribbean Asset Management Corporation was tabled in Parliament.
Minister for Trade, Energy and Employment Ian Douglas is hoping that the passing of this bill would allow residents to regain confidence in the region's financial system. According to Douglas, globally, persons are losing confidence in the financial system. Persons are beginning to question commercial banks and question whether they should go back to the old days of putting their money under their mattresses or putting it in a trash can or burying it at the back of their house. We cannot allow that kind of mindset to take root again. We have to allow our people to maintain confidence in the banking system, Douglas said. We have to allow our open quote. We do not want to be in a situation where probably it would have been easier to simply allow exchange of powers to the central bank to deal with it as setting up a corporation that has to be funded by taxpayers of this country. I should add, who have very little to gain. Fontaine suggests that an insurance scheme be implemented to protect the deposits of the depositors and poor people of this country. Fontaine nonetheless spoke in support of the
This act will provide for the regulation of the banking business, establish a single banking space, and provide for incidental and related matters, and the repeal of the Banking Act No. 16 of 2005.